everybody. I'm Philip.
And I'm Justin.
And together, we are Pajamas.
Debuting a new microphone.
A new little setup for Justin. Give him some little presents. We are here today to start episode 5 of season 3 of Doctor Who. The usual disclaimer is going to put up on the screen now. It's summer. Summer sucks. So instead of saying it every episode, I'm going to pop it up on the screen from now on. Okay, now that that's over with. Last time we left off, we had a human Dalek.
Yes, we saw what we thought we would never see.
Yeah, which raised a lot of interesting ideas and conversations. So now we get to see how Super Doctor overcomes the newest Dalek evolutionary threat.
I'm ready.
All right. They've taken your beloved cute Daleks and made them...
He may look differently, but he will still have a place in my heart.
Hey, just like me. All right, you ready?
Yes.
All right, without further ado, let's get into it.
This species is so very Dalek.
But you have doubts. Affirmative.
There's got to be a way to reason with these things.
There's not a chance.
You ain't seen them, boss.
You're outcast too!
Solomon, don't.
Doctor, this is my township. You will respect my authority. Well, what do you say?
Exterminate!
Kill me if it'll stop you attacking these people!
Exterminate!
Stop! I come in. Stop!
You saved the Doctor. Why?
Is it me, or are you just becoming a little bit more human? Gamma radiation? Oh, the sun. You're using the sun. Removing the emotions makes you stronger. That's what your creator thought.
He was wrong. We must return to the flesh.
You wouldn't be the supreme beings anymore.
And that is good.
That is incorrect.
If aliens had to come to Earth, oh, no wonder they came here.
Their lifespan is limited. None survive beyond a few weeks.
Oh, you have no idea how different he really is.
Yeah, he's a man, sweetheart. That's different enough.
I say something or do something, and he looks at me, and I just sort of think, he's not seeing me.
You will not fire!
He is an enemy of the Daleks, and so are you.
What have you done? What's going into the gene feed?
The new bodies will be 100% Dalek. You told us to imagine, and we imagined your irrelevance.
What the hell are you two clowns doing? Even if the Doctor stops Dalek hanging, this place is still gonna get hit.
That gamma strike went zapping through me first.
We came up with the service elevator.
That'll do. And Halsey? I'm telling you to go. Frank can take you back to Hooverville.
And I'm telling you I'm not going.
That's an order.
Who are you then? Some sort of Dalek?
If you choose death and destruction, then death and destruction will choose you.
I got in the way of the lightning strike. Time Lord DNA got all mixed up. Let me help you. What do you say?
Emergency temporal shift.
Yeah, they said yes. They'll give you a home, last home.
You're tired, you're poor, you're huddled masses, and maybe the odd pig-sled Dalek mutant hybrid too.
What did you think?
It does show the determination and persistence of the will to continue to go on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a question in the last episode that the Daleks were so willing to go along with what was going on with tainting themselves with human DNA. And the fact that it wasn't the appearance that bothered them, it was the humanity that it brought with it that bothered them.
Indeed.
It was very intriguing that they're showing compassion and like letting the Doctor live.
Indeed, it gave them a vulnerability, and as a result of that, well, like with humans, when they see that they have a vulnerability, it then makes them more unpredictable.
Yeah, yeah.
Which thus makes them more dangerous.
I thought that the Doctor was helping Dalek Sec to stall for time for Martha to do whatever she needed to do. But the entire time he was actually helping them. Like, I kind of get why. Like, it was a chance to evolve, again, the Daleks beyond something other than just hate machines.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, there was like, talking about genocide. They had like thousands of people.
Oh, yeah.
Empty shells of people. And the Doctor was like, all right. And then it ends up...
A genocide, yes, but it was a failed experiment. It would have been shameful to simply let that go on.
Just waste the bodies.
What else are they supposed to do with them? Especially if so many people think that they're dead.
Yeah. Very interesting to see the Doctor actually work with a Dalek to try and change the Daleks. But then it was the Daleks themselves that were the ones that put a stop to that by staging a mutiny.
Indeed, it reminded me of the assassination of Julius Caesar.
Yeah, kind of.
With the other Daleks being Brutus.
Very interesting to think about the idea of surviving and thriving versus staying resolute in your mindset and facing potential extinction. And now, supposedly, with Dalek Khan, we're down to one. And I say one because this is like the second or third time we've been down to like the last of the Daleks. Is there like an even bigger group of Daleks that they made that are living? Probably not. But so if this is the last one, legitimately the last one, it's going to make the next showdown very intriguing because it did its temporal shift, and now it has time to plot, but with no one else but itself.
At least it did that because it realized that it didn't want to live a lie of being something that it wasn't. Something that it couldn't fathom itself to be. It's sort of like, for example, how someone once gaining power, then becoming mad with the power, and is then trying to do that which they were trying to get rid of.
Right, yeah.
From the Daleks' point of view, that's what was going on, and what they did from their point of view was their way of surviving. For how can...
I guess it's more like a die with dignity.
Yes, like that.
Kind of thing.
How can they be a Dalek and not a Dalek? Yet be a Dalek, yet not be a Dalek, etc.
That this is what a Dalek is, and if they become these humans with compassion and they're still Daleks, like they're Dalek hybrid Daleks, then are they really Daleks? That's what I was thinking. I was like, then are you really even Daleks anymore?
Exactly.
Not really.
So thus it was an identity crisis.
Yeah. Programming versus, evolving the idea. So, yeah.
As far as they know, how do they know whether or not, well, the Doctor keeps on implying that it shows that their idea doesn't work, but at the same time, is it a bad idea? Or was this simply mismanagement, bad leadership?
How would a different leader have done it differently, do you think?
Well, note what happened.
No, I'm but like how, okay, if you were Dalek Sec, how would you have done it differently?
Well, first of all, no evolution by combining the DNA, and thus it impairs this whole army. If this army isn't going to do exactly what you say, then it isn't going to be very reliable or predictable.
Yeah, they could have just, because that's what they did in the end anyway. They made the Daleks, or the human shells, into Daleks. Well, that's what they thought they were going to do. Why not just do that in the first place? Like, I get why from the last episode, because Dalek Sec was seeing humanity in a new light.
Yes, that they, despite so many things that happen to it, somehow it manages to survive, and whatever attribute there is to this species, maybe the Daleks can use that to their advantage.
Yeah.
Which was actually the basis of why this whole thing happened in the first place.
Exactly, yeah, like the resiliency of the human race. But if you take that out of it, which I know erases everything that Dalek Sec became and then evolved into, but if they could have, and they clearly could have, just made human shell people into Daleks, then use the resiliency of the human race as humans and our numbers to make more Daleks. This is hindsight, obviously, but it just seems to me like a true Dalek. That's what they would have done. What they tried to do at the end, to make the humans into Daleks, not these Dalek humans, just human Daleks. So
yes, I can see that.
I don't want to say like a seed of doubt, but like just the plant. I've said before, like Doctor Who, when they plant the seed, it's cool to watch it grow. They planted, the seed of humanity into the Dalek, and you got to watch it grow into something completely different. And it's just interesting that the final plan could have been both ways. Either one could have worked. Like, the new Dalek humans or the current Daleks as humans.
Indeed.
So it's like compassion and et cetera, humanity versus cold nothing with a skin shell.
But it does show that they can even have opinions.
Mm-hmm.
Even Daleks can doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And if they can doubt, that means that they can have opinions.
Oh, they did, yeah.
Yes, which means that they won't necessarily unanimously agree or disagree about something.
Well, yeah, I mean, Sec kind of made their own bed when it let the Doctor live. Like, I get what Sec was going for.
Yes.
To use the Doctor's ingenuity.
But then why not you simply use those plunger things and simply extract the information from his head, which is actually, if I were in a Dalek leadership position, that's what I would have done if I wanted him for his mind so badly. We'll simply extract the information and then kill him.
Just the evolution of the Dalek. And then what that entailed for the actual Daleks. Because the Daleks have that very master race kind of thing going on. I just think for them to go with it for that long was kind of like, not only because Sec was the leader, but they were taught to obey, even if they didn't agree with it. Like as you said, the Daleks having their own opinions, so it's cool to see them start to doubt based on the severity of how un-Dalek-like Sec became.
Indeed.
So the less he became more like a Dalek, the more they were like,
This thing is not a Dalek except in name, and it only because it's calling itself that, not because we are calling it that.
Right, exactly, yeah.
And indeed, they're taught to obey Daleks.
Right.
And, well, this is only calling itself a Dalek. Well, the Doctor could call himself a Dalek, but they most certainly aren't going to obey him.
Right, exactly. So I think once they're like, you know what, screw this, you kind of bastardized yourself from what your form was, and time to revolt. So it was just cool to see, just to get into, like, we really haven't gotten, it's just been exterminate the whole time. These last 2 episodes have been really like, we get to delve into, like, I don't say the mind space, but like a thought process and an evolution of going from just being mindless followers to uprising and taking over, which you really normally wouldn't see because they're very militant in their belief structure and how they carry out their orders and who they listen to. Like they're very, very, very strict. As I said, to see that the disconnect start to just fray and then snap.
Indeed. they can be like that, but that doesn't detract that they do have a mindset, a mind, so they can think.
Right, yeah. And
they can reason.
And make decisions.
Indeed.
Independently. And that's the key word, independently.
Ultimately, something that, even in the case of Daleks, they cannot make anyone think anything. They can, at best, they can convince someone. All that they can do is make someone do something.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure there's probably a deeper rabbit hole we could go down in with that, but just surface level, it's very cool that we got to go through this evolutionary process of the Daleks and then watch them kind of cannibalize one of their own when they, in the end, stayed true to themselves. Was it for the good of the species? No, not at all. But
to die with honor? Well, to thine own self be true.
Or to be stubborn and damn yourself to extinction.
Well, then it's a question of perspective.
Exactly. I was hoping for a little more, because when the doctor was on the top of the building and the lightning hit, and I was like, they're going to be Time Lord Dalek hybrids.
Indeed.
I would like to have seen a little more with that, like a little more Time Lord, which I guess was them having free will and saying why, questioning.
But the Daleks also have free will to an extent if they can change their minds.
Yeah, but it takes like an act of changing your physical appearance and then sparing. You need to commit like cardinal sins in the Book of Dalek.
Such as wanting the Doctor to be alive,
yeah.
Even if you're at that moment, yes, finally, they've reached that point in history that they can finally extinguish the Doctor, the last of the Time Lords. The Daleks will have won. No. What do you mean, no?
Yeah. Like the greatest enemy of the Daleks is, what they say. And you're letting him live? Why? But I guess at the end when the empty human shell people, one guy said why, which yes, that was the Time Lord kind of stuff. I guess I would have liked a little more Time Lordian-ness to it. But what we got was fine. It made sense to have the outcome we had with them turning on the Daleks. We do know that the Daleks can be damaged and blown up with their own weapons. That was interesting. I thought they were going to bounce off all the...
Yes, it showed that there is actually a way to destroy them, but it's with their own machinery, not with primitive human machinery.
Yeah, pew pew. Guess if I had to nitpick anything from the episode, it was a little too happily ever after. The Doctor saving Laszlo and...
Yes, he is still going to have to be in hiding as much as possible for the rest of his life.
Yeah. Like the whole time I'm watching it, I'm just like, you could fix some of that with cosmetic surgery.
Possibly.
Remove the teeth, and then, cut these down and somehow reshape the snout.
Oh yes, humans and pigs biologically are actually similar enough that you could probably only have to do some nips and tucks, and then no one would notice any significant difference.
Yeah. Go to my notes. I like the whole idea of him saying that humanity was like a species for war, because we're so good at it.
Indeed. It's somewhat like as if the writers are saying with the Daleks that this is what humanity could be versus what it is, or what it could be otherwise.
Right, yeah.
Oh, as if the Time Lords and Daleks, they're both portrayals of what humanity could do, what they could be, dependent upon the choices that they make.
Yeah, because even in that same speech, he said that humans are a lot like Daleks. And it's like, yeah.
Well, yes. Humanity can be a very destructive and unstoppable force when it wants to be.
I even called, I wrote, I was like, he's going to show compassion. They're going to turn on him. I was like, yeah. I was actually hoping they would, because even last episode, I was kind of like, yeah, he's the leader, but look at him.
Indeed.
Like, do you think like Dalek Prime or whatever would be like, good? No. He would have been exterminated into oblivion. We had more cool Martha moments, with Martha figuring out how to electrocute all the pig slaves. Then we had another crisis of heart and head that I've brought up in the past when she said he doesn't see me because he's still seeing Rose.
Indeed.
Which is understandable.
Is he still going through the grieving process?
Oh, yeah.
Which,
oh, yeah.
In that case, then shouldn't be leading her on. It's as if he says that he wants to, but there are times when he cannot. And well, what is she supposed to do in the meantime?
He shouldn't anyway. I've went around on this carousel so many times with the Doctor and the love thing. I get Russell T Davies had a very clear vision with David Tennant on what this Doctor was going to be to cater to a new audience, to a new generation. And it worked. It clearly worked. It brought in. It's still around today. So just with this, it's cool to see Martha still using her head to kind of just rationalize and balance out the situation. And as you've said in the past, to read the situations and read the Doctor correctly.
Yes.
Like she isn't some, love-struck puppy. She's like, okay. Like she wants to like him. But she can see clearly that this relationship isn't quite. And she's aware enough to know that he still hasn't gotten over Rose. I like that like I said, I like that they're making her smart. I like that they're making her emotionally competent. And it does, as I've said numerous times, it's refreshing.
I'm not sure how old he is, but one would
like
think,
900 years old, I think.
But one would think that surely by now he would have had some sort of prepared speech whenever he would get a new companion.
Right.
By now, having completely figured this out. Like he said in the previous season, that he continues on, his companions die.
Right, yeah.
And he needs to go through that grieving process over and over and over and over again with lifetime after lifetime after lifetime after lifetime.
Yeah, especially if, as I've said in the past, if the previous seasons, the older ones, are canon. But the way I understand it is like previous seasons stop, boom, Doctor Who is no longer a thing. Somewhere in here we have the Time War. Then season 1 of Reboot, or Reawakening, or whatever word you want to use, because talk about me being nitpicky. Pick a word that means it's back, but not like it was, but it still kind of is. That word. I'm assuming this is after, like old ones are pre-Time War, new ones are post-Time War. If I'm understanding that correctly. At least that's the way it was explained to me in comments on previous seasons. So it would make sense then after if Eccleston's Doctor is the remnant of this Time War and then meets Rose and then, previously not the only Time Lord. Now only Time Lord. Lonely. No home planet to go to. No family anymore.
Indeed.
So I get that. I get that part of it.
He's lonely, yet at the same time he continues to do this to himself.
Yeah. His own worst enemy. Yes.
Something else that's very telling about the series, that it shows that one can be one's own worst enemy. Who is the Doctor's worst enemy? Well, it could be argued that instead of the Daleks, well, it's himself.
Oh yeah, I've intimated as such in past videos as well. And then I thought it was interesting when the Doctor's ordering Martha and all them out of the theater, and she's like, "Who are you? Some sort of Dalek?" And I'm like, "Ooh, that's like an order." And she's like, "Who are you? Some sort of Dalek?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Like in a previous episode in which he, wanting to exterminate the Dalek, became that which he was trying to get rid of.
Yeah.
He was trying to exterminate it.
Yeah.
At all costs.
And the rest of my notes are for my patrons over on Patreon. As a two-parter, very cool. Very cool. The nitpicky things are just that. They're nitpicky. And they're not even that big of deals, really.
Actually, it's very interesting that it shows that with the Doctor he can go back and forth depending upon the choices that he makes to be Time Lord or Dalek, if we're going to have that as a dichotomy.
Yeah.
And in this case, we saw how the Daleks also can do that, except that he was able to he still maintaining his identity. He knows who he is.
Right, yeah.
But in the Daleks, we saw an identity crisis.
Yeah. And how it manifested itself. It's a very intriguing concept to present in the way they did. Because like we said, we never thought we would see Daleks ever willingly evolve themselves like that. So
yes, it would, from their point of view, it would be like a de-evolving, going backwards instead of forwards. That's not how it's supposed to work.
And in the end, it was to them.
Indeed.
Yeah, so yeah.
That's all that I have. Is that all that you have?
Yeah, I mean, I've said all the stuff I think I need to say. I think that's everything, yeah, I think. But yeah, I thought it was a very, very strong two-parter. I think both parts 1 and 2 were equally as strong. Usually one is better than the other for me.
But this time, it was very good.
Yeah. Part 1, we got the setup. And then part 2, we got the execution in more ways than one. And yeah, the characters were fine. The setting was fine. Seeing Andrew Garfield is never a bad thing. I think I touched on it in the last episode. I think this was the right time in history to do this kind of episode. And it raised a lot of questions that we hadn't really thought about before, as far as the Daleks and the thought process and, self-identity and identity crisis and evolution and all of that. So yeah, there's a lot going on in these last two. And yeah, I liked it.
So did I.
Awesome. Anything else you'd like to add?
No.
Okay. Well, that's going to wrap up this episode. As always, I don't have a fancy outro, so I'll simply say thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.
Goodbye.